Hello guys, if you're new here, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you. My name's Ayo, I'm a GP trainee, and today's video will be about postpartum weight loss with intermittent fasting while breastfeeding. Sounds like a mouthful. It literally is. And disclaimer, I'm a doctor, but I'm not your doctor. I don't know what your personal medical conditions are. I don't know what your experience has been. Please discuss with a doctor before making any radical life changes. So let's hop right to it. So like I said, in this video, we'll be discussing intermittent fasting while breastfeeding. I'll be talking about my personal experience and healthy tips for success while doing this. If you need to skip to certain parts of the video, please feel free. You can find the chapters in the description. So my personal experience, why I decided to embark on this journey, I actually discovered like 2-3 weeks into postpartum, I discovered that I had developed a cesarean section incisional hernia, and I kind of felt it coming because I could see the telltale signs and symptoms, but it honestly didn't feel as real as when I had the ultrasound scan and I could actually see the hernia. So at this point, we had to discuss with our GP whether we were going to go the surgical route or whether we're just going to try and manage things non-surgically and see how everything settled down. And part of the management involved weight loss to kind of see how everything just within the abdominal space settled. Okay, so that was really that was the instigating factor for me seeking out the way I could actually go about the weight loss journey without compromising my feeding my baby or without compromising my own personal health. So that's why I went with intermittent fasting. Okay, so I know there's this popular thing about breastfeeding actually promoting weight loss, and a lot of people seem to think that it's not true. But when you look at the science behind it, you would actually find that it is true to a relative extent. So why is breastfeeding actually something that promotes weight loss? So breastfeeding on its own is a strenuous process that your body undergoes to produce milk for your baby. It really burns a lot of calories, and some people have put it between 450 to about 500 calories, and that alone is actually a massive lot. You could actually go to the gym and run on a treadmill for 1 hour and not achieve that. So that's a massive workload that your body is taking. So imagine having lost 450 to 500 calories every day without even eating. It means that there is going to be a caloric deficit if you try to manage your calorie intake, and that's basically what I was thinking. So if I use intermittent fasting to manage my caloric intake, it means that at the end of the day I'll be having a good caloric deficit because of breastfeeding. So that's how the science kind of marries together. Okay, so intermittent fasting, what is it? Personally, when I was growing up, I heard a lot about intermittent fasting when I was in school, and I just felt like it was another gimmick that people just used and it didn't work. So thinking about it now, I actually think I was so wrong to judge those people, and it actually does work. So what's intermittent fasting about? It's basically blocking off hours of the day to actually just not eat anything, no caloric intake at all, and then the other part of the day you would actually go ahead to eat in measured doses, not overly eat, but eat what you would regularly eat within that window. So I went with, I think, the 10-14 window. So I would actually not eat for 14 hours and then eat for 10 hours. That's basically what I was trying to go for initially, and I think over time I built up to the 16-8 window. So that's basically what I did. So you can actually see how much the intermittent fasting has worked. I literally started when I was about 6 weeks, which you'll see. I wanted to wait for after all the water weight had gone, and definitely there will be water weight after you've delivered your baby from all the changes that's going on, the inflammation and everything. So it's actually very good to allow your body to recover, allow the water weight to be shed before you actually try embarking on this process. And I think it's very, very helpful if you allow the 6-week window to actually completely be exhausted before you start this intermittent fasting. And you can actually also it for 2 months or even more, whenever you actually decide that you're comfortable with how well you've recovered, I think it's actually a better time for you to then venture into intermittent fasting rather than shocking your body when your body hasn't actually fully recovered. Okay, so you can see like from 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and I think now 5 months. Thing to note with intermittent fasting that makes it quite valuable in this postpartum period, particularly if you're on maternity leave and you're at home most of the time, is the fact that it actually keeps you in fasting windows and also gives you room to eat. So when I say it keeps you in fasting windows as beneficial, you're most likely going to be awake at absurd hours of the day, and sometimes you might be tempted to snack. Research has actually shown that 70% of like postpartum moms or new moms tend to overeat just because like their hunger cravings, and sometimes you're just awake at absurd hours of the night and there's really nothing else to do, and that Snicker bar is just staring at you in the face. That chocolate that someone dropped off is staring at you in the face, and honestly it looks very attractive, but it's not going to give you the nutrients you need. If you're being honest, it's just going to stack up calories that you don't necessarily need. And as much as possible, you're trying to focus on meals that would actually help your breast milk production and provide your baby with nutrients. So if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, intermittent fasting can actually help you to hold out on those things that you really don't need to be cultivating, such as bad eating habits, which is like eating whatsoever is in your space at any time, or eating at absurd hours, because those type of eating habits can then translate to your normal lifestyle and make it very difficult for you to actually manage your weight even when you want to in the future. So that's another thing that advocates for intermittent fasting. Okay, so how can you do this in a healthy way? Like, what are those tips to make sure that you're not compromising your baby's like breast milk production, your baby's weight gain, and all of those things? And I think I really prioritize that. I try to visually monitor like the breast milk production with pumping and all of that, and at the same time I also made sure to track my baby's weight on the weight percentile chart, which usually is filled in by your health visitor whenever they come in. And you can actually take your baby for weight checks in the GP, or maybe in any one of the facilities close to you that allow for such, just so that you can constantly reassure yourself that your baby is growing as per expected. You understand? So the first is to start slow. So you know that intermittent fasting involves windows of eating and windows of fasting. So you need to start with shorter windows of fasting. You can start as small as 8 hours. Just make sure you don't eat at night when you're awake with your baby. Like, that's all. You don't need to do anything extra. Just make sure you're not snacking at night when you're awake with your baby. If you're tempted to, take water, take a cup of tea, you understand? And then from there, when you see your tolerance, you see you're not getting dizzy, you see you're not getting lightheaded or anything like that, you see like your milk production isn't being like affected at all, then you can move on to, let's say, 10 hours of fasting. And then within weeks, obviously, you can try and move on to 12 hours and then 14 hours. And then eventually you can find that you're doing 16 hours, but you took it slow and steady. You didn't trigger your body into overdrive. Basically is what we're trying to say. Okay, eat nutrient dense meals. You need to focus on eating like lean proteins, veggies, fruits. You need to also focus on grains, whole grains, healthy fat, things like that. I'll insert clips showing all those things that you should actually prioritize in your meals. Oats, barley, things of that nature that would actually help your breast milk production and would also keep you full for a longer period of time. Another thing to do is to stay hydrated. Like, hydration is key. any type of hydration. During the periods of fasting, don't think that you can't drink water, don't think that you can have a cup of tea. You're not being too strict with yourself. You're postpartum, you're recovering, you're just trying to manage your intake. So as much as possible, feel free to indulge in a cup of tea. Feel free to indulge in some bland soups, some plain soups that still offer you that hydration, still offer you some nutrients but are not heavy in calories and things like that, because those things tend to give you hydration, help with breast milk production as well. You can always have like a bottle of water on hand whenever you feel that hunger craving during your fasting period. Feel free to take a sip of water. You could also add like some tasty elements to your water, to make your water taste a bit like juice or something like that, to indulge you more. So just find ways of incorporating more fluids into your diet, and it will do you a world of justice. Okay, another thing to say would be to be patient. I know that my pictures might look as if, oh, this was a lot, or it might even look like there's nothing, like what exactly did she lose? You understand? Regardless of how your body is responding to the intermittent fasting, don't push yourself too much. Don't force on it. You're doing what you can do, and you're managing the situation the best way you can. The entire concept is making sure that you emerge a healthier version of yourself. So if you end up putting too much pressure on yourself to the point where you actually are becoming like deficient or becoming compromised as a result of this intermittent fasting, then it doesn't make much sense, does it? So please be patient with yourself. Listen to your body. Like, you need to be able to accept the signs that your body is showing you. If you notice a drop in your milk production, step back. Like, maybe you've gone on to 12-hour fast and you notice your milk production is stopping or is reducing drastically, then step back to 10 hours or completely overhaul the process. You could always go on that journey again, maybe after you've weaned your baby. So these are things to actually be careful about. If you notice you get dizzy or lightheaded, you don't want a situation where you're carrying your baby and then suddenly you drop because you're dizzy or because you're feeling lightheaded. You need to make sure that you're in an optimal state to actually care for your baby, because if anything were to happen, you would never be able to forgive yourself. So as much as possible, listen to your body. So I hope these tips have actually really helped you, because I feel like they really helped me on this journey of intermittent fasting while breastfeeding. Then please leave a comment if you've tried this before and it worked out for you, or if you've tried it and it's not worked out for you and why you think it didn't work out for you. I'll definitely love to hear. Like this video, share with anyone who needs, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.